They are all there. Is there? We invite for Joachim's last part, then we start. We need to squeeze a bit, some minutes, yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's like that Murphy law.
Yeah, Murphy law. Yeah. 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 Let me. So this is a separate mic. It's not on, right? Just wanted to let you know that we are waiting a couple of minutes more as one of our speakers is on his way right now. So please bear with us.
Ahmed from the Global Summit. isang 25. Yung tripods lang ay, parang may iba kasi, gusto rin nila
Sauf sur les bateaux, peut-être, ça serait impensable. Ils ont imaginé un narratif, je pense, entre le fleuve et la mer, et ils voulaient cramer le monde dans pour les bateaux. Même le concept de flow badge, où on a des gens qui sont aussi dans la zone bleue, etc. Exactement. On fait déjà avec les zones qui sont souvent ailleurs.
Also wir haben die Opening Remarks bei unseren Co-Chairs. Dann dann kommt das Hanji Deep Dive, dann kommt Donor und dann gehen wir in den Engine Room, ne? Also mit dem Shield und dem Sekretariat und den Financing Vehicles.
Ja, das ist ein bisschen schwierig anzubauen.
Ja,
Ja, super.
wir könnten
Dann würde
natürlich...
natürlich den Minister vorziehen,
Ja.
ne? Dass man ihn vorzieht,
Ja.
das würde gehen.
Ja, das würde gehen.
Okay, dann lass uns doch das machen, weil
Ja.
das wird langsam zu lang.
Ich finde es
Ich habe
auch.
immer noch kein
Ihr könnt es
Signal.
besser.
Ja.
Genau, dann müssen
Ja.
Sie das nur im Zweifel ein bisschen anmoderieren.
Ich moderiere das an.
Wie Start with the big.
Ja. Ja.
Also wenn du von Sebastian jetzt nicht,
Noch jetzt los.
Ah, dann dort passt
Dann
ja.
können wir es lassen.
Dann lassen wir es.
dann
Ja.
lang.
Genau. I got the sign we can start. I hope you can hear me if you use your headsets. It might be a little bit easier. Wonderful. A warm welcome and good evening. Distinguished excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. And also a warm welcome to our distinguished Global Shield board members who are in the room and representatives of supporting countries. My name is Astrid Zwick. Together with my fellow co-director Nilesh Prakash, we are heading and directing the Global Shield Secretariat. With this, I also want to thank very much our host, Luxembourg, offering the pavilion to be able to conduct this very special event, this very exciting event. It has been a long time to come here, but now we are happy to have the launch of the Global Shield ambition happening now. Together also with an emphasis of the Global Shield's relevance and alignment with climate finance frameworks such as the funding response for loss and damage. We still have challenges ahead. We know that even with a lot of efforts, a huge gap remains. 98% of losses in vulnerable countries are not covered. The percentage of pre-arranged finance, according to latest studies, is very low in climate finance overall. And there is a huge fragmentation of the space and the landscape or the ecosystem of climate and disaster risk finance and insurance. With that, we hope with the Global Shield to address this, to address and minimize the loss and damage, to amplify the voices of the vulnerable countries, using pre-arranged financing also to shift two paradigms. One paradigm is with the Global Shield and with pre-arranged finance, we move from crisis management to risk management and ultimately also to resilience building. The second paradigm is we shift from supply side orientation and approach to a demand side approach, really through an inclusive and country-led approach conducted through our in-country processes. We have an exciting agenda this evening with our dear co-chairs of Barbados and Germany providing opening remarks, followed by a deep dive of our pioneering pilot country, Ghana, and then rounded up by one of our dear donor countries with a perspective of Luxembourg, providing continued support. After that, we will look into the engine room. We look where plumbing and crafting is done. and will experience the work of the Secretariat and our financing vehicles. I'm very honored now to announce our first speaker, our co-chair Barbados. This is Miss Elizabeth Thompson, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for Climate Change, Small Island States and Law of the Sea Barbados, and Sherpa to the Prime Minister on matters related to CVF and V20 Barbados presidency to kick start and to launch the Global Shield ambition. I'm happy to hand over the floor to you.
Imagine that you can hear me if I don't hold the microphone. Yes? Perfect. Madam Moderator, Minister Charlotte Welms, State Secretary Joshen Flashbarth, Excellencies, board members, development partners and friends, members of the CVF, soldiers in the fight against climate change. It is indeed my honor to join you this evening and make a few remarks on behalf of the Prime Minister of Barbados and on behalf of Minister Ryan Strawn, who is responsible as Minister of Economic Affairs for our side of the V20 chairmanship and co-chair in this particular initiative. As a Caribbean national, I come from a region where we understand intimately what it means to go to sleep one night or to attempt to go to sleep one night and to get up 5 hours later to find that 90% of the housing in your community is gone, that you are without a livelihood because your job has been taken away by a climate extreme event, and that 226% of your GDP has disappeared in a matter of hours. And this is not a story, it is the dystopian reality of the climate crisis for those of us who live in the Caribbean. Dominica lost 226% of its GDP in Hurricane Maria in 2017 in 5 hours. In this summer, July, around 8 islands across the Eastern Caribbean lost 90% of their housing in Hurricane Beryl, and my own country, Barbados, lost critical infrastructure and 90% of its fishing fleet. Think about what that means for food security and for fisher folk and for their means of livelihood. So for us, this matter has an urgency, it has a reality, and it has a necessity, which brings my country to the table and to the partnership in this particular initiative. I therefore want to thank Germany, Denmark, all of the board members, and those of you who are partnering with vulnerable countries who truly are living on the precipice of crisis and on the precipice of risk and survival. I want to thank you in particular for the effort you are making to ensure that this Global Shield Ambition initiative is complementary to the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage. In fact, I serve as Barbados' board member on the fund, along with Sebastian, whom I saw just now. For us, as debt-strapped countries, as most of the Caribbean is, as much of the Pacific is, and I see some Pacific Islanders present, access to capital, quick access to capital in the circumstances of crisis remains a primary initiative and a primary constraint for us. It is particularly exacerbated in the context of limited fiscal space, which we all have. So from Accra to Marrakesh to the Barbados Initiative, the concept of innovative financing, of reform of the global financial architecture, of the objective and imperative of access to capital remains a significant priority for Barbados. The mobilization of capital, creating access to capital, creating access at scale, and making it readily available to those who need in their time of need is of the utmost importance, because the intention is that it must move us from survival to sustainability to resilience. The Global Shield therefore presents an opportunity to offer, and my moderator said it, proven, prearranged, country-owned financial solutions which help to create liquidity as countries need. And I think that those are very, very important criteria. Proven, prearranged, country-owned solutions. This is absolutely important because it de-risks climate vulnerability and creates the environment for investment in our countries, and in fact also de-risks investment and investment capital, and that is absolutely central to growth, development, and resilience building. I therefore want again to thank all of you, to make the point that in the design of this initiative, it is not one size fits all, that it is intended that each will have its own unique flavor representing the DNA of the individual countries and their peculiar circumstances. I want to thank and salute Ghana for being the first of the 17 countries who will pioneer this initiative. I close by again thanking all our partners, by pointing to the extreme importance of this for the 70 climate vulnerable countries which are members of the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and for recognizing that with this level of cooperation, we stand together as soldiers in the fight against climate change. Today, ambition. Tomorrow and after, action. It is therefore my honor and my pleasure to launch the Global Shield Ambition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I'm just trying to test a little bit the acoustics. Thank you very much. It seems to work. Yeah, thank you very much for painting the picture for us of what vulnerable countries are encountering when disaster strikes. And thank you for your call for need to access the capital and to receive fast liquidity in the case of a disaster to recover much faster. With that, I have the honor to introduce to you our co-chair of Germany, Jochen Flassbart, State Secretary in the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, to share with us the perspective on the Global Shield's contribution to shaping and evaluating loss and damage landscape, and also to the contribution to the funding response for loss and damage.
Thank you, moderator, dear ambassador, dear Elizabeth, colleagues and friends here, all protocol observed, as our friends say. Really a privilege to kick off here together with you. Barbados being such a giant in international leadership, I really need to say this. especially through the voice of your Prime Minister, constantly pushing the world to be more ambitious, to be creative, to be innovative. Not always convenient for everybody, but the world needs this kind of strong voices getting us to do the next step. So I wanted to start with that. And look, the Global Shield, I'm really happy that we are here. And congratulations also, Elizabeth, for Barbados as a new V20 co-chair. The Global Shield would have never existed without the collaboration between us and the V20. It was, anyway, met some suspicion because some thought it's a shield of defense getting something legally binding under the CCC. But it was never. It was never our intention. We wanted to be fast. We know that processes under the UN regime take some time. And we saw that the need was there and that we needed to act. But at the same time, it was very clear if this would have been an initiative just from Germany or other countries, Denmark, other Nordics or other friends in the world, this would have never get the acceptance that was needed to get it done. And now it developed. And congratulations also to the Global Shield family, if I may call it as that, to the ambition document. It's not only important for the Global Shield and the operations under the Global Shield itself, it's also kind of guiding document for other audiences and for the overall finance debates we are having also here at the COP. We are happy that our assumption that the process under the UN, under the climate debate discussions to create a fund responding to loss and damage was much shorter than we thought. We were really fast. And I think still, and you spoke about Ambassador, about the complementarity of the Global Shield. That is how we look at it. The fund was kicked off. The key decisions were made in Sharm el-Sheikh. It was launched in Dubai. I was very happy for many reasons that we were able also to do the first planishment and to start with the first announcement of 100 million each by UAE and us. Even before the decision was made about the fund. The money was already there, or a bit of the money. And very relevant for the debates here. And I need to share it because it's such a hot potato here at this conferences. We know that countries like ours do have an obligation under the Paris Agreement. No doubt about that. We will follow this obligation. And I facilitated the Article 9 discussions in Paris on behalf of Laurent Fabius. I know all what it is in. I know all of the developments to get there. And there is no doubt developed countries are obliged to provide financial support. But others are invited. And the good thing in Dubai was that we had a quite open text at the end, but with the commitment of UAE, definitely not a country falling under Article 9.1, but under Article 9.2, made the initial announcement together with us. And we need this kind of spirit. We don't want to push anybody. We see that there is a huge need out in the world there for mitigation, for adaptation, and for loss and damage. Whenever we were too late with mitigation and adaptation, it's going along with your countries, with all the disasters. And therefore, we need to speed up, we have to be pragmatic, and we have to be ambitious. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, State Secretary Flassbart, for this very, inspiring words also. But it was a long way, as you said, and the issue is complex. It also was a long way, but you accompanied us also for a while in the precursor initiative of the Injury Resilience Global Partnership. So, we are here now, but we are also here to really hear from the ground. We hear from experiences. And now, as a next speaker, we will have one of the first pilot and pioneering country, Ghana. We will zoom into the first experiences with the Global Shield process. And also we will hear from the very first request for support, the support package, even with the first results that we have encountered right now. And with that, I'm happy to introduce to you Ms. Adwoa Kansa, Acting Director in the Ministry of Finance of Ghana, to tell us about the national experience in Ghana on the Global Shield.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to join you today for this discussion. On behalf of the Minister of Finance, Ghana, I wish to extend our sincere appreciation to the Global Shield for the partnership and support. We do not take it for granted that we have this opportunity to engage and share our perspectives that will certainly advance this partnership. Clearly, our gathering here at COP29 is a reminder of the urgent, complex challenges posed by climate change, particularly for vulnerable countries like Ghana. And we know that shielding communities and countries from the impact of these vulnerabilities require closing wide financial protection gaps for these disadvantaged countries. For Ghana, these financial protection gaps are shaped by several factors, including limited financial literacy and underdeveloped insurance sector. Today, however, Ghana continues to make significant strides in addressing these gaps. The policies and strategies on financial inclusion, coupled with reforms in the insurance and banking sectors, have laid the foundation for broader financial protection. This is the framework within which we engage the Global Shield to fashion out a pre-arranged disaster financing solution. The solution is not just a safety net, it is a cornerstone for resilience. By providing quick liquidity when disaster strikes, these mechanisms enable us to respond swiftly to disasters. This approach ensures that the most affected and vulnerable will be shielded from the worst impact of climate change. We know that our efforts and success will complement the achievement of our climate prosperity plan, which requires an estimated 8.2 billion in investment by 2050 to ensure our transition and adaptation to climate change. Ghana, like many other developing countries, are very vulnerable to climate change. However, in terms of availability to fund or have solution or to mitigate against the negative impact of climate change, we are least able to afford. Again, like other developing countries, we are least ready for disasters. Unfortunately, disaster does not knock on your door. It doesn't tell you when it is coming. It doesn't wait for you. That is more a reason why we approach Global Shield for help. Now, I want to discuss some of our in-country processes. So through the Global Shield, I must say that with our engagement with Global Shield, Nothing was imposed on us. Global Shield completely used our own in-country processes. And so through the Global Shield in-country processes, Ghana's climate finance needs were completely and comprehensively assessed and identify financial protection gaps across the country. So the findings then enable us to request for a very ambitious support that covers the agriculture sector, coastal erosion, and also drought resilient. So we call for a coordinated multi-sectoral pre-arranged financing to address these critical areas. So prior to the requesting for the support, the Global Shield in-country process revealed that the financial protection gaps that Ghana is facing is very vast and multifaceted. And accordingly, our request for support has to be very ambitious to cover worsening and mitigate worsening effects of climate change. Accordingly, the Global Shield responded, and that led to African risk capacity premium support for droughts in the northern region. The northern parts of the country face significant challenges due to recurring droughts, and most of them are farmers, and they depend on rain-fed farming, and because of that, their case are always made worse by dry spells and drought. And so these droughts often disrupt their livelihoods, reduce agricultural productivity, and disrupt their social activities, and also bring down their living standard. And even though their major economic activity is agriculture, anything that happens, any challenge they face does not affect only that part of the country, but it affects the whole country because most of our food comes from there. And therefore, the engagement with Global Shield is something that is very significant for us, and we do appreciate it very much. The African Risk Capacity Premium Support for Drought offers a transformative opportunity to address these challenges. And by providing financial resources through the sovereign insurance mechanisms, ARC enables governments to respond swiftly to the impact of drought, minimizing disruption to livelihoods, preventing long-term economic damages. Additionally, as a result of the Akosombo disaster, we call it Akosombo disaster because the disaster happened in the part of our country called Akosombo, and a significant flooding occurred due to spillage from the hydropower dam from unforeseen heavy rains, and also the Global Shield came to our aid. So pointing out that despite the headway we have made with pre-arranged financing, we recognize the need to expand engagement with donors and implementers to create vehicles that allow us to confront and overcome these challenges responsible for the financial protection gap. The Global Shield has provided the avenue for that coordinated approach to pre-arranged disaster risk finance across sectors. Ghana acknowledges that the Global Shield cannot meet the country's entire funding needs for adaptation and climate resilience. However, the Global Shield has demonstrated a willingness to facilitate access to other financial protection opportunities, the most affected segments of Ghana's society, through pre-arranged financing mechanisms that provide quick liquidity when disaster strikes. I'll conclude by saying that we are very delighted to have been here. We are delighted that we have such a strong relationship with Global Shield. As a country, Ghana has demonstrated its commitment to advancing pre-arranged disaster financing solutions. Our partnership has been instrumental in expanding discussions surrounding the key gaps such as affordability. Thank you, Global Shield. Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, Director Kansa, for elaborating on that. And we cannot emphasize enough how prearranged finance is a cornerstone for resilience to ensure prosperity and growth. And also thank you for bringing already 2 concrete examples of implementation. One is the drought cover with ARC, African Risk Capacity, and the other example is the aid on the Akosombo Dam and respective project now. All of this would not be possible without receiving the support of our dear donor countries. And I'm very honored to introduce to you Minister of Environment, Climate and Biodiversity of Luxembourg, Serge Wilms, also our dear host of this evening of the Ambition launch, to tell us about the perspective and your expectations here with regard to the Global Shield in achieving the initiative's goals. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here, and it's an honor for Luxembourg to host you here. Why? Because, well, Luxembourg is very much aware, like so many also European countries, that we need to protect the most vulnerable countries that are already hit by the consequence of climate change today, that they need financial protection. That's also why Luxembourg is supporting a lot of initiatives in this field of loss and damage. For example, also the newly created fund for responding to loss and damage, last year launched at the COP28, and where we pledged already 8 million. The Santiago Network, the Climate Risk and Early Warning System Initiative, our own initiative in Luxembourg, emergency.lu. That's an initiative that's designed to help humanitarian and civil protection community to establish or re-establish telecommunication services and support effective communication and coordination of first responders. We have a couple and several bilateral initiatives where Luxembourg provides technical assistance or first loss loan to allow for private sector investments in the field of prearranged finance in response to and preparation of climate risk. And then last but not least, also the Global Shield against climate risks. And in addition, Luxembourg also intends now to further strengthen its commitment to loss and damage financing by making it a greater priority in our future international climate finance strategy for the years 26 to 2030. What's the Luxembourg support to the Global Shield right now? Well, last year at the COP28, we announced that we will commit 5.5 million euros to the Global Shield financing vehicles. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Luxembourg and Development and Cooperation is contributing 3 million of Luxembourg's ODA to the Global Shield Solution platform, and my own ministry is contributing 2.5 million to Global Shield financing facility through our Luxembourg International Climate Finance envelope, which is additional to Luxembourg's ODA. So this is a pledge of 5.5 million euros, and it's Luxembourg's first joint contribution in the field of loss and damage, where ODA and our additional climate finance are deployed in a complementary way to strengthen our commitment and optimize our impact. For us, it's always very important to optimize our impact. And in addition, in 2024, this year, Luxembourg became also a proud member of the Global Shield Board. So for us, and you are one of the forerunners on loss and damage, and you playing such an important role in this emerging landscape of loss and damage, it's very important to be here and to support your launch of your ambition, of the Global Shield ambition. It's a very important step to strengthen your own position of the Global Shield and also to lay out your strategic priorities for the future. So that's why we want to support you. That's why I'm here to give you this statement, to give you the full support of Luxembourg's government. And it's also a call to other donors and countries to join this initiative, because the ambition of today will be the standard of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very motivating and inspiring speech. And also for, well, stating that we are a little bit on the front running of the loss and damage. So we are gaining experiences indeed in the countries. And normally we would say somebody starts with a vision and an ambition and then starts with the process. We turned it around, and we had somebody always saying when we started in 2022 that we are building the tracks while the train is moving. So we set something already in motion, gained experiences, and now we can undermine the ambition with what we know is working, because we get a lot of interests by countries by the time now, even countries that approach us here at the COP to become a Global Shield country. So again, your call for support came really absolutely timely, and we see that we can achieve something all together. Putting all together, the forces together, and putting the effort together is also a key, let's say, word what we have in the Global Shield Secretariat and also across our financing vehicle. And we are now entering the engine room. We are now entering the implementation. And I'm very pleased to announce my fellow co-director, Nilesh Prakash, to give us a view into this engine room, how we are working, and what you are expecting from the Global Shield Secretariat, but also we will be followed up by the financing vehicles to provide some information. So, Nilesh, please give us a little more context, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Astrid. Climate risk landscape has changed profoundly, and so have the concerns and opportunities. And to address both, and indeed to address these risks efficiently and effectively, we need a platform that not only advocates innovative CDRFI solutions, but also coordinates that platform of actors who provide such solutions. So you guessed it right, I'm talking about Global Shield Against Climate Risks, a joint initiative of the G7 and V20 that was launched at COP 22. So with that, Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite you to watch a short video presentation on the Global Shield Initiative.
Storms, droughts, floods, increasing temperatures. The severe consequences of climate change are already felt very clearly today, especially in countries of the global south. In one region of a country, drought is threatening farmers' incomes and livestock. A famine is looming, and humanitarian aid will be needed very soon. In another region of the same country, floods are a constant risk. A second flooding this year has caused massive infrastructure damage. The public budget has been shifted from a school building project to build a new bridge, but now the available budget is depleted. Ambitious mitigation and adaptation measures help to reduce climate risks. But despite all efforts, not all risks can be averted. Further losses and damages from climate change will continue to occur, often directly affecting people's livelihoods and homes. After a disaster occurs, responses are frequently slow and expensive. Pre-arranged finance allows governments, humanitarian agencies and non-governmental organizations to react immediately and reliably. There are various financial instruments that countries can use to be prepared for and respond to climate disasters, but selecting and accessing the right one is challenging. To help countries with this challenge, the V20 and the G7 committed to jointly establish a global shield against climate risks. It will provide financial protection against climate risks to poor and vulnerable people and countries, scaling up action and support on losses and damages. The Global Shield will substantially expand climate risk finance and make it more systematic, coherent and sustained. Countries will receive support from the Global Shield to set up a comprehensive system to manage climate risks. Governments will be supported with establishing an inclusive dialogue with key state actors, the private sector and civil society. This will enable the design of effective protection packages based on the country's specific needs, up-to-date climate risk analyses and data models. Protection packages can include a stronger and adaptive social safety net, improving the overall response to climate shocks or insurance for farmers against droughts. To keep these products affordable and ensure they reach the lowest income groups, the Global Shield can provide support to pay for premiums where necessary. The Global Shield supports the implementation of climate risk finance and insurance solutions, combined with social protection and early warning systems. This way, countries are prepared when a disaster hits. The Global Shield allows countries and people to better protect themselves against losses and damages from climate change. And it will increase their overall resilience.
So with that background on Global Shield, allow me to give you a quick preview of the Global Shield ambition that Her Excellency Ambassador Thompson just unveiled earlier in the session. So informed through a rigorous stakeholder consultation process, the ambition really is our strategic policy document, our North Star, with a vision of ensuring climate vulnerable countries are climate resilient and are able to recover quickly from climate-related disasters. We make this vision operative with a mission statement that seeks to improve and increase access to prearranged finance for climate vulnerable people and communities. We have a number of guiding principles, and these are important buzzwords in the climate and development finance space, which is there on the screen. The next slide is on the 4 high-level goals of the Global Shield ambition. The first goal relates to really understanding risks and then making decisions to invest out of these risks. The second goal relates to inclusive governance, and this is really about taking an ecosystems approach to creating and deploying CDRFI solutions, particularly on pre-arranging finance to deal with climate and disaster risks. The third goal seeks to bolster access to pre-arranged finance through our coordination hub and our range of financing vehicles. And the fourth goal relates to nurturing and stimulating innovation, that constant and consistent effort to create, co-create and make CDRFI work for vulnerable people and communities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to download the Global Shield ambition that is available through the QR codes that is in circulation to better understand the suite of activities that are covered under the 4 high-level goals. But before I conclude, I want to touch on this very important aspect of the Global Shield, which is the in-country process. Our inclusive and bottom-up approach, where agencies of government are in the driver's seat, send a clear message. To effectively and efficiently respond to climate and disaster risks, we need an evidence-based process that recognizes country context and the unique risk profiles. We do this to ensure that the solutions we advocate for are fit for purpose. And this is a key attribute of any funding arrangement in the loss and damage financing architecture. The Global Shield Secretariat coordinates this 10-step ICP in each of the 17 countries that we are working in. We bring together stakeholders, share experiences, pool resources, and this strengthens our resolve to improve and increase access to pre-arranged finance for climate vulnerable people and communities to deal with the increasing risks. And the final slide I have here is really a slide on where we are present. So right now we are present in 17 countries, as you can see, but really with today's Global Shield Ambition launch, our hope is that our global presence will increase many folds, And again, as you would understand, this is a function of many factors. And one of the important factors is really our donors really galvanizing behind this initiative and supporting Global Shield efforts, our efforts in increasing support to climate vulnerable countries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nilesh, for giving us a view into the engine room and where we drive the in-country processes, work together strongly with the countries, have really exciting collaborations going on, and try to lift innovative power here. Talking about innovation in innovative power, I would like to announce a short video by Dr. Annette Detgen. She's head of the Global Shield Solutions platform. She cannot be with us here, but she sent a video very short term. I hope we can kickstart the video explaining what the Global Shield Solutions platform is doing and how it contributes to the in-country process and to the implementation of the solutions. Let us start with the video.
Dear Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear participants to the launch event of the Global Shield Ambition. My name is Annette Detgen, responsible for the Global Shield Solutions platform, one of the financing vehicles of the initiative. Set up in 2023, the GSSP has received commitments of over 200 million euro from governments in Denmark, France, Germany, Ireland, Luxembourg, and the EU Commission. Offering grants and advice, GSSP aims to contribute to the ambition of the Global Shield, helping vulnerable countries in effectively responding to climate-related risks and loss and damage. Please let me highlight 3 distinctive features of our platform, features which are informed and determined by the ambition of the Global Shield. As the name implies, GSSP is a platform offering countries access to a wide spectrum of instruments and approaches. This can include financial solutions on the sovereign level, for intermediaries on the meso level, like MFIs or cooperatives, but also on the micro level for smallholder farmers or households, as just now offered actually for Ghana as the first partner country in the Global Shield. Whether national disaster funds, resilient debt instruments, insurance or guarantees, the financial instruments to be developed and implemented with our support will build on existing mechanisms and programs and thus contribute to a country's comprehensive risk management strategy. Second, as a financing vehicle, GSSP is not an implementing partner. Instead, it applies a competitive approach in order to identify the best implementing partners. These may include public agencies, ministries, private companies, development partners, civil societies, or NGOs. Leveraging this wide expertise and knowledge of this spectrum of partners, the GSSP fosters innovation and promotes best practice such as minimum standards on open source modeling and data or minimum standards on contingency plans. And this brings me to the third feature of the GSSP. The ultimate selection of the best fit solution and respective implementing partners lies with the partner country. So for each country, partner country of the Global Shield, the GSSP establishes a country steering committee. This committee decides on the technical details of the solution, the design and the structure of the country support package is thus country-led, ensuring that solutions are not only complementary to existing mechanisms, but with the strong voice of the country. In the co-design of the support package, GSSP provides tailor-made and country-specific solutions for financial protection. Thus, with these 3 distinct features, offering a wide spectrum of instruments for comprehensive financial protection, innovative solutions by a competitive approach in identifying the best fit partners, and last but not least, including partner countries as a member in the governance of GSSP, the ambition of the Global Shield is carved into the GSSP, its processes, modalities, and its overall support. With this, please let me send my best greetings to Baku. I wish you a successful event and hopefully contributing to the success of the whole initiative. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Annette Detken on also elaborating on innovative solutions and also solutions that fit best to the country context at macro, meso and micro level. Without further ado, I would like to also give the word to our next speaker, also providing tailor-made solutions, looking at the country specifica. And with that, I would like to hand the word to Loïc Chiquier, Senior Advisor, Prosperity Vice Presidential Unit at the World Bank and representing the Global Shield Financing Facility.
Thank you very much, Astrid. Thank you again for the invitation. I would like to really thank the Global Shield Secretariat for convening this very important event. It's really a honor, pleasure for me as a World Bank representative to share a few thoughts about one of the window, the financial facility, and to complement, I think what Nilesh and Annette already described to us, this evening. So I will share a few experiences over the last 15 years working on this topic. I have three main points I would like to illustrate with you today, to go very fast. First, we are really completely, as a World Bank Group, committed to continue this work with countries to embed financial planning and disaster risk finance within larger development and risk management programs. That means for us, when we work on the Global Shield, the financial facility, we systematically try by design to embed these grant components with larger IBID and IDA lending programs. So to get a larger volume, to reach a scale as much as possible. We have applied this approach through GSFF, but before its predecessor, the GRIF, right, which was a Global Risk Financial Facility, funded by the same donors community. We have done that in about now 17 countries. And we have reached about now more than $3 billion of World Bank financing, which were influenced and leveraged by the Global Shield. So the solution, as we speak today, in these countries, we calculated that we have about 51 million beneficiaries covered against some form of catastrophic risk in 9 countries. 51 million is a lot or not enough at the same time. So it proves the fact we can scale, it's feasible. It's not just a few dozen of thousands, but of course we have much bigger ambitions. We'll like to reach much more than 50 million in the next years with your help. Let me give you 2 recent examples because we're supposed to be in engine room. So let me show 2 examples of what we're trying to produce in this engine room. One is a recent emergency preparedness program in what we call the Southern Africa Cone, including we start with Madagascar, Comoros and Mozambique. We're trying to establish a regional climate fund which will work as a centralized mechanism that lowers the technical and financial barriers to use these kind of instruments. We are using a grant from $30 million as part of a package put by the World Bank of nearly $1 billion, $972 million. And the grant is used by the Africa Risk Capacity, which I'm sure we're going to draw lessons from the experience in Ghana, no doubt about that. In Pakistan, we're also preparing a 20 million grant which will co-finance the design, establishment, and capitalization of a climate risk funds, which is specifically targeting, microfinance lenders, those which are really to the bottom. Second point, we see increasing need to go work more closely to the most vulnerable groups and communities, which are the most affected, of course, as we all know, by the disasters. And I think this is complementing what Nilesh has been saying a few minutes ago. We started a long time ago at the southern level, but now we want to go to the meso and to the bottom of. And then one example, I'm not going to go more because time is running. Malawi, we're receiving in 21 million grants, and we're going to support two different types of financial solutions. One is a contingent fund. I mean, when we have done it. We're not going to do it. It's there in place. And a sovereign risk transfer solution, which are both linked to the national safety nets, so that to be able to do very quick emergency cash payment system. Actually, it was tested last year. It was stress tested because of the drought. So very quickly, one fund paid 6.6 million, and the other point about 5.3. In total, about 12 million went immediately to about 140,000 households. Individuals across 10 districts. So this is the kind of thing we are trying to replicate again and again. We have another one, similar one in place with us directly linked to safety nets in Sierra Leone. And going forward, we'd like absolutely to identify more opportunities to scale up this experience in more countries, and the same countries to more people. It's both important for us. The last point is maybe also linked to what Annette was saying. It's very important to really increase the knowledge transfer. You will not be surprised by my president, Mr. Bonga, has been pushing the knowledge agenda very, very vigorously, and clearly it's one of the themes we want to do much more. Just for last year, as an example, for example, we facilitated some different knowledge exchange between Malawi, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, and Bangladesh, because all these countries face the same kind of questions. How much the same solutions can fit one or the other? We brought also 21 countries representative to London to work with the private insurance and reinsurance sector, with our colleagues from IDF, with the Insurance Development Forum Summit. This is very important to our heart, and we're working a lot with the World Food Programme and other humanitarian partners at both technical and operational level. So I would just like to finish my concluding remarks to say we're absolutely committed to work with our partner countries to bring them the capacity to be financially ready to weather any storm, big or small, and embed this approach within the national planning process and systems. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy, of course, to answer any questions informally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we are coming to a closing. I also want to point out we have some flyers around. If you want to study the ambition more in depth, we have a QR code with us, and we also can show it on the screen later on. But let me thank very much the speakers, Excellency Ambassador Elizabeth Thompson, for your powerful opening and also the official launch of the ambition of the Global Shield. I also want to express my gratitude to State Secretary Flassbart for highlighting the Global Shield's contribution to the evolving loss and damage landscape, but also the continuous support of Germany to realize and also the initiation of the Global Shield. Thank you, Ms. Adwoa Kansa, for showing us what's happening in Ghana, your experiences in the work with the Global Shield and across the Global Shield processes, and a very strong recognition of Minister Wilms for Luxembourg's ongoing support and commitment, illustrating how donor countries can play a vital role in amplifying the Global Shield's impact. And appreciation to my fellow co-director Nilesh, Dr. Annette Detken and Loic Chigier for showing us the engine room and what's going on, and how we also collaborate in the countries and help to innovate and to tailor-make solutions. With that, I mean, we stand at your side to really, with full motivation, drive the in-country processes, bring Global South, Global North countries together in a joint effort in the in-country process, also with an inclusive and also with a gender-responsive approach. We have a Center of Excellence on Gender Smart Solutions that also infiltrates here and supports. But also I want to highlight that there is a significant increase in the interest of countries to join the Global Shield, which calls for a continuous support here. And I wanted to end with that word and highlight how with the Global Shield we set a new precedent for disaster risk financing, offering a more comprehensive approach. And I want to thank you all attendees for engagement, commitment, for this shared mission, reiterating that the Global Shield's work will only succeed through this collaborative effort, innovation and sustained support. Thank you very much. And I invite the speakers for a photo here.